Yo, what's going on, y'all? I want to thank you if you're tuning in. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. That's what we do best here. Don't forget that I am on every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon Eastern Time and 3 to 5 Eastern Time. Just heard here, too, I just came across it on YouTube. Texas U.S. Senate candidate Glenn Addison endorses Ron Paul. So I don't know if that was out already, but that's good. More endorsements, which is appreciated. Okay, so what we're going to jump into next. We got some more headlines I told you guys about that we're going to jump into in a little while. First, I want to jump into this other interview, in case you missed it, Ron Paul with Cavuto. And I don't know, maybe I'll give you my take on it. Let's see. Pretty sure he'll say something to get me upset.
This is what President Obama did do today. The president setting a precedent, becoming the first U.S. president to come out openly in support of gay marriage. Now the guys who want to be the next president are reacting. We're going to be hearing from Mitt Romney on this very show tomorrow. But first, his sole surviving challenger, Ron Paul, with me right now. Congressman, very good to have you. What did you make of the president's change of stance on this?
Well, I have no idea, except it's probably politics as usual. I mean, he must think it's worth some votes, so he came out at this particular time. That's about all I can figure out.
I don't even know, Congressman, if there's a libertarian point of view on this, but is there? I mean, for or against gay marriage, does it matter?
Well, our position is stay out of people's lives. I would like the state to stay out of marriage. I think marriage should be something that you do in a church. Me personally, I would do it in a church, but a voluntary association shouldn't be interfered with by the state. So I'd just assume that the state not issue licenses or define marriage, let the individual, let two people define marriage. And it'll annoy some people, but it also would get rid of this whole debate. We wouldn't be arguing about the definition of marriage. I can have my definition, somebody else can have theirs. So it's the interference of the state that we see that gives us this difficulty.
And people tell me I'm crazy because I don't believe in marriage. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been telling people I don't believe in marriage. What Ron Paul just said is what I just said in the last segment. And he's right. Get the government out. Get the state out of government. Out of marriage.
Congressman, Mitt Romney, when he did address reporters earlier today in Oklahoma City who asked him about this, he was very terse to the point, didn't dwell on it, in fact, left quickly. I believe in marriage is between a man and a woman, and left it at that. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't have any problem with that. That's my personal belief. I've been married for 55 years, so that's my personal belief. But that doesn't mean I should write laws and force other people to accept my standards. I should set a standard, and maybe people would want to emulate it. But I don't like using laws to mold people's behavior. Not because I don't think their behavior could be improved. It's just I don't believe that's the role of the state. Is not to make people's behavior different. I
so
think
it's just as offensive to you than when the president goes out and says, "I want to change the policy or my view of this between just a man and a woman, could be between a man and a man or a woman and a woman." You don't like it anyway the state declares what's an acceptable marriage?
Well, there's some ulterior motives in that. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's telling insurance companies what to do.
Right.
And sometimes it's, acceptance and these various other things.
But you're saying each, that is both candidates, and maybe by extension yourself, but out of these matters, period.
Well, but I just think it's more appealing to more people by not being judgmental and making all these rules. I don't like economic rules, but I don't like rules in social orders either, other than the fact you can't force people to do anything, and you shouldn't be overly judgmental. So you don't force people. I don't want to force people in social conditions any more than in economic conditions. And I think things would be much happier in the world if everybody accepted the rejection of the use of force.
Gary Johnson, the former New Mexico governor, was here. He got the libertarian nod, as you might have heard, Congressman. The talk was that you were asked to be their candidate, and they then walked to him, that you turned them down. Is that true?
No, I never had a request personally made to me. I, vaguely heard people talking about it on the internet, but no, nobody came to me and asked me to be, because I was in the middle of a race. I'm still, a Republican candidate. I've been elected 12 times as a Republican, so I think that they knew what the answer would probably be. But
that you would say no, because your son was with me on Fox News the other day, Congressman, and he said there's no, I'm paraphrasing here, but the gist of it was there's no way you'd be running as an independent party candidate. Is that true?
Well, that's what I've said all along, that I have absolutely no plans to do it.
So if you had your choice between, if you don't get the nomination, and it would be a Herculean leap for you to get the nomination, Mitt Romney, Gary Johnson, Barack Obama, who do you vote for?
Well, I'm still voting for myself because I'm still a candidate.
All right, good answer, good answer.
I swear, these media whores in the media. And Ron Paul, I'm glad he's starting to say the right answers a little bit. I wish he'd get a little bit tougher, but I think it's a whole strategy to him. He's starting to come out a little bit more tougher on some of these questions, whereas he would just go along. Not go along, but, let them take shots at him without saying what he needs to say back. And that's what he needs to say. I'm voting for myself. Exactly. I'm still running in this race. And I know some people say they like Cavuto. I be seeing some comments and stuff because they feel like he gives Ron Paul a fair chance and fair interviews. What I tell everybody is, man, don't trust anybody or think anybody is on our side. If they work for Fox, if they work for CNN, if they work for MSNBC, if they work for any of these corporations, they are not to be trusted. Every single person that treats Ron Paul nice at one point, they weren't doing that. Go back and look at older interviews with Ron Paul on Fox, Ron Paul on Cavuto, Ron Paul on Glenn Beck. Go back and look and see how they were talking about Ron Paul, laughing at him, saying he's crazy, he's a loony. And now they got to calm down with that. So some people think that Ron Paul is even changing their minds, but that's not it. Ron Paul is not reaching anybody in the mainstream media. Don't get it twisted. Everything they do is because it's the right time to do it and there's a reason for it. So if they treat Ron Paul more nicely than they used to, it's only because they have to save face. I got tired of people saying, yeah, Glenn Beck's on board now. Glenn Beck's a Ron Paul supporter. He's back at Ron Paul supporting Ron Paul. I'm like, man, that's a joke, man. Don't fall for that. You know what I'm saying? You need to be known. You need to read through it. See through what's going on. See through the BS in the games. Glenn Beck, all of them, man. They all work for the 1%, the establishment, the corporations, the media. And so they have no desire to have freedom, to see freedom prevail, because then they could lose their jobs and they could be exposed. They're not going to be taken care of by their masters. That's what it is. They don't want Ron Paul president because Ron Paul is a threat to everyone. Everyone who is not just a regular average citizen that wants their freedoms and constitution. To everyone else, he's a threat. Everyone else. You know what I'm saying? And they're scared of that. But once this thing gets even bigger and the revolution really start going, you're going to see some people really trying to hop on our side, trying to play good guy and all that. It's like some of them already are. But I ain't falling for that. You know what I'm saying? Just like, on Fox News, you hear John Stossel talking like Ron Paul now all the time. Where was that at 4 or 5 years ago? You know what I'm saying? I love Jon Stewart and I love Stephen Colbert. And yeah, they call the media out about Ron Paul's blackout. But what about the blackout you've been having on Ron Paul? How many times did you guys talk about Ron Paul compared to Mitt Romney? You know what I'm saying? If you want to joke Ron Paul, joke him. I don't care what you do, but you need to be talking about him more. Nobody did. Not the Comedy Central with them, not CNN, MSNBC, none of them. Everybody treated Ron Paul the same. I give credit because Jon Stewart called them out, and that's their job more than it is his. But at the same time, everyone across the board is pretty much ignoring Ron Paul. And they don't understand that all that does is motivate us even more. These shots they take him, these interviews they give him, they have no idea what they're doing. One interview, you just gave Ron Paul 2-3 more delegates. More people are going to be motivated. More people are going to be energetic. Because we see that you guys are fighting back. And we ain't going to let Ron Paul lose. Anyways, I'm Paco, your host. We'll be back. You're listening to Occupy the Media.
Hi, I'm Dana, and I started out as a Ron Paul fan just like you.